Hello there. Hi. We're just starting out a weekly stream. How are you guys doing today? Hello there to everybody. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic weekend. I decided I would kind of just do a kind of a weekly kind of update. I mean, there's not a whole lot of news, right? So I also want to give you guys an update since my last live stream talking about slowing down. If you guys kind of have stayed up to date with the channel, you'll have seen I kind of have slowed down a little bit, and it's been great. It's been working out. I went with the idea of kind of like maybe like every other day or every like 2 or 3 days to do a video. That gives me a little more time, a little bit less pressure. I have some videos that are like I've recorded in advance, so I finally got my Street Fighter video review done. That one is, I think, going to go up next week, and so I kind of have enough to kind of stay semi-frequently right now, and so that's kind of good without the rush to like, oh shoot, I have a deadline, I have to get this done now. So that much is good. We've got a lot of things that are real interesting. Also, I want to do a big just a reminder for you guys to check out Luxury Playstyle, because if you haven't already checked out their tokens, they're pretty awesome. We've got links in the description below, and there's gonna be some big news coming soon. There's news in the works. There's stuff I can't talk about just yet, but there's some cool things that are on the horizon for Luxury Playstyle, and you know we have. They're a sponsor of the channel, so if you do head over there, be sure to use code Crabbok VIP. You're going to save 15%, and also you get that free Crabbok lightsaber and nunchuck token that I am thrilled with. That's a really cool, great token, and you'll be the envy of all your friends with that. So check out luxuryplaystyle.com. Links in the description below. But yeah, there's gonna be some big news from that coming up. Behind the scenes, I can't say much right now, but you're gonna be excited, especially people who play Legion. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But yes, we're not forgetting about Armada players, though. You know, there's hopefully there'll be stuff. You know, it's weird right now. So getting onto the news, right? We don't have much. Let's talk about Armada first. There's not a whole lot really to talk about. I mean, we do have some stuff because Wave 10 has kind of been broken up, like officially now. Like Invisible Hand is in stock. It is really just for United States viewers. So those of you watching from overseas, or you watching from Canada even, which isn't technically overseas, right? It's astounding to me that like Canada gets everything, but we don't. You know, I'm not hating here. I'm confused as to this particular logistical delay. Like, what is it that like are there boats that sail across that are like only have Canadian stock on them, or you know, I don't get that. How much are you loving Wave 10? 25% is how much I'm loving Wave 10, since I only have 25% of the wave. But I did. So here's funny thing is, if you guys saw my Providence unboxing video, I did get a new mic system. I'm not using it right now, but yeah. So I have like the wireless mic that I can clip on now, and I sometimes when I'm doing unboxings and I'm really close to my camera, using the old camera setup, I would get really close to the microphone, and like when I was go back and listen to some of my old videos, it would be like, you know, there'd be like quiet spots and really loud spots, and sometimes I like breathe like right into the mic, and I didn't like the inconsistency. So I switched over to a lapel mic because I thought it would be a little more consistent, a little bit better. You know, there's a little bit better sound quality, although it doesn't have quite the loudness that the other system was using. But I don't know if that's really necessary all of the time. So I like that option. Plus, it allows me to do some other things, like if I want to set up and get farther away, especially if I'm doing like lightsaber demos and stuff like that. I can still have that on. You know, when the collectibles, like we've got a couple of lightsabers that are coming. We got the dark saber coming soon. The Ahsoka Tano deluxe saber coming soon. A lot of cool stuff like that is in the works. So you know, that'll also help for things like that. So no, Armada was split up. If you're in the United States, you only have access to the Invisible Hand right now. I pre-ordered everything. Currently, it looks like the Republic's going to get their 2 ships at the end of May. May 28th is the official day, as reported by many game stores through distributors, including my own. And I've had so many emails of people telling me the exact same thing. But the confusing thing is the Recusant, the other ship for Armada for the Separatists. That one, there's no specific date. It just says June. And whenever it's a month without a date, that makes me think, okay, mid-July then probably. So, and I think that that's mostly just the U.S. I'm not sure if people in Canada and everywhere else have like the Recusants either. And it's a bummer too, because the Recusant has some of the best crew and commanders that I want for my Separatist fleets. You know, granted, the Invisible Hand has great stuff too. So we just played the other night. We got there's currently a Wave 10 battle report up. Access is on Patreon right now for A-Wing level subscribers and above. So if you guys do want to check that out, see how we did a bigger battle too. This one was 600 points. If you guys follow me on social media, if you're on my Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, I've been putting out some teaser images for that. That is very cool. We have some other teasers that are coming this weekend. There's some more terrain stuff coming on soon, and it's part of this like the sewer terrain for Dungeons and Lasers, where you can kind of make your own systems and you know, and kind of build them however you want, and so it's very cool, like good, a little bit more along the lines of Dungeons and Dragons type terrain. Although with enough of this stuff, you could make a Legion board. I don't know if I have enough to make a Legion board right now for all of this. I don't think so, but I do have a decent amount, so maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see about doing something like that. I think that'd be really fun to do once convention time hits. Like, just because I know there's a lot of people that get curious about interior battle reports for Legion, so that's interesting. One of the things we were talking about a little bit, I was in my Discord and I think the Armada Discord also. We're talking a little bit about, there's been some discussion about like what is coming for Armada, like what the future is for Armada. We really don't know. I spoke with some of the X-Wing people, and I think the X-Wing community is a little more optimistic as far as like, since there's no dedicated X-Wing developer or Armada developer right now, like what's the future with those games? We really don't know, and it's probably going to be a while before we have more concrete evidence of the future. But it's easier to be optimistic if you're an X-Wing player because, well, you know you've got another huge ship coming. You also know that they're doing the Mandalorian Razor Crest is also coming. Even though it's really far out, they're not like dismissing the distant future. So that's really helpful. Armada players haven't had that kind of breath of reassurance. And so that's something I think Armada needs from Atomic Mass Games. Because I think it's definitely to their benefit. Like, you know, you guys who've been with me know that I'm ride or die for Armada, more so than any other game. And so, like, there shouldn't be any doubt for any company like making Armada stuff. You're gonna have free advertisement, lots of it, lots and lots of free. Look what's behind me. It's like everything for Armada. It's just like all the time. Always going to be that way, right? So hey, and even if they don't, I'm sure somebody else will pick it back up. And there's going to be all that. You've got a built-in, like this product is going to sell itself, and I want to make sure of that. So that's you know, that's a good news, I guess, for the Armada community, is that I'm still dedicated to it. And what's going on, everybody? Hey, Rob, how you doing, buddy? So yeah, there hadn't been a whole lot of news, but one thing I think that's really cool that I do want to talk about, and if you're in Discord, you may have already heard me mention it last night. Christian Petersen. Let's talk about Christian Petersen, because his name is in the news this weekend. So this is a big deal. Well, this is cool more than it's a big deal. It has the potential to be a big deal. So for me, everything is still a big deal. But Christian Petersen founded Fantasy Flight Games. He is the founder. He's the original founder. And so he created Twilight Imperium, That was completely him. He also worked on a lot of. I'm not sure exactly how much design input he had versus just like oversight and stuff, but X-Wing was on his watch. Armada was definitely inspired by him. I actually, because I know James Kniffen was on the Armada rulebook, but I think Christian Petersen's name is on the Armada rulebook too, and Rebellion too. I mean, Corey Connexa worked on Rebellion, but I believe this was also Christian Petersen's. Let's see. No, it definitely says by Corey Connexa on here, but I'm pretty sure Petersen had a lot to do with this because Christian Petersen has a background in vintage Star Wars gaming, PC gaming, and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of this stuff came from. There was a game called Rebellion. Armada is a lot of inspiration from what is it? Empire at War. Huge. And so Christian Petersen was big fans of all of those things. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind a lot of my favorite games. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with Legion because he was already gone by the time Legion came out. So I'm not sure if there was crossover there or not, or if that was part of the new design or what. I'm not sure there. But either way, Christian Petersen had a lot to do with a lot of the games that I love. So what happened, right? So Christian Petersen kind of merged or kind of sold his company, right, to Asmodee, and then FFG kind of became Asmodee North America that still had FFG and under its umbrella amongst you guys are just we're talking about it right now. Yeah, so here's basically what happened. So Christian Petersen left. He started his own company, but they're like a venture capitalist kind of company. They're not really making games. So he sold his company. He had to stay on for a year, and then after the year was over, then he kind of left. Asmodee was kind of bought by another company or whatever, and I think I've talked to other people in the industry who have gone through something similar, and so I'm not speaking for Christian Petersen right now, but I can imagine that it was maybe a kind of like a grass is greener kind of thing, where it's like, man, you know what, I kind of regret. Maybe he's got some regret, or maybe things just didn't develop the way that he approved of, and he's like, things aren't as good as they were. You know what? Let me start my own company now. Because they maybe imagine having your own company, being the boss, and now all of a sudden you are not the boss anymore. And then you have to do stuff with your creation that somebody else is dictating to you. It's like, no, you must have microtransactions and you must do this, and you're like, but my company wasn't built to do that. And I'm like, well, it's our company now. You are just, So I'm paraphrasing, but I imagine there is probably something like that happened. He's like, you know what, it's time to go start something else. Well, through the rumor mill, I've heard that he was looking to get Fantasy Flight back years ago, and Asmodee would, like, maybe there was some bad blood. I'm not sure, but whatever. I mean, I heard that he wanted his company back, and maybe he was in a better position now to do that. And this was around the time that Asmodee started dismantling Fantasy Flight games. And so you take all these little bits of paper. I'm like the meme of like the dude from the with all of the paper on the board drawing all these links together, right? Look at this, look at like that meme right now. But so they sold off X-Wing, all the miniatures games went over. I say all the miniatures games, but it's not really, is it? Because isn't Descent still coming out by Fantasy Flight Games? And isn't that really a miniatures game? Isn't it really though? I mean, not exactly. It's not exactly, but it's got a lot of miniatures, and so like I'm really wondering right now. Like this sounds like baloney. It sounds like they wanted Star Wars. It sounds like they wanted their moneymaker IPs or their moneymaker games over in a different company. So this way, if Christian Petersen is able to get FFG back, he doesn't get Star Wars back. I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I wonder if that's just meant to be a big middle finger to anybody who's trying to buy Fantasy Flight games. Let's strip everything of value away from Fantasy Flight games. So this way, when he gets them back, But again, that was just rumor at the time. So, which brings me to this weekend. Yesterday, an article dropped, and we were talking about it a little bit, that Christian Petersen bought the FFG Game Center. Let that sink in for a minute. So the FFG Game Center is a large facility in Minneapolis. It's basically a gaming store and restaurant. That's where they used to have Worlds there. I have never been there. I don't know how close it is in proximity to like the FFG offices where like they design and make the games, or where their warehouse is. I don't know if it's connected to those or if it's like down the street from those. I don't know in proximity, like, what the bigger implications between him buying this building, because if it's connected to one building, like, can you own half a building, or does you just buy all of FFG back, right? Like, so, but he bought the game center, and he's got another company. So his company is kind of like an overarching parent company that has other smaller companies beneath them, and one of the smaller company beneath them is called Game Centers with like a Z in the middle, like Games Center, right? So it's very, very similar. It's almost like this company was designed to specifically be the proxy that goes in there and takes over FFG. And so Christian did that. They have their own website now, and it's all, if you go to fantasyflightgames.com, it's the first article. The funny thing is they didn't share that article out on social media. Like, it's there, but only if you went looking, or at least I didn't see it. It didn't show up on any of my feeds. Somebody had to tell me about it, and I'm like, how come this is here and nobody was, and they weren't promoting it? Because it's negative publicity for them. They lost their building, right? It's back to the founder. So daddy's home, right? Like, so that's kind of the way I look at it. And because I'm a big fan of Christian Petersen, because he was instrumental behind so many of the games that I love. It would be like if Alex Davey came back to Legion or something like that. A lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, people were drawing some comparisons in the chat, right? So it's got the potential to be exciting. And if you go to the FFG website, they have like a link to like games centers. I'll come up with a better way to say that. I'm not going to be pronouncing the Z a whole lot in the future, but to their website, and it's mostly talking about the facility and like, come have our tournaments. We're opening the kitchen again. There's all these news and announcements. A nice looking website. And one of the articles is, come learn Twilight Imperium from the creator. And like Christian Petersen's going to be there like playing Twilight Imperium with people and stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, that's really. So Rob says, I feel like if that were an attempt to buying out a game design company, he would have made a different play. I think he just really wanted to run a game store again. That certainly may be. I don't think there's any accidents in this, though. And because I think this was very, very much just exactly what it is. It's just one step forward. And if it stops here, that's still a good thing. It still gets him back in the same, working in like the same city that he used to work in, like coming to the same building he used to often be at. So it's still nostalgia, and maybe that's good enough. Maybe that's all he wants to do. Like, hey, I love this store. I built this store back in, I think, 2010. And I want my store back. If I can't have my company back, maybe I just want my store back. But it could be kind of the foundation for something more. It doesn't have to be. But what if it is? What if it's like, what if he's just dipping his toes in the water? I'm like, all right, let's make sure, like, if we're gonna get this company back, or have a new company to do kind of the same things. And I've certainly reached out to to Christian and his company. So if they do come up with like any new games they want to promote or whatever, I'd definitely be happy to work with them easily. It's a no-brainer. So that's cool. But if you're gonna have, it's nice to have like kind of your own dedicated place. It's nice to have like a hub where you can be like, all right, we have a new game we want to show off. Come down to the game center, and and we'll have like maybe a little mini convention. We'll do like a press release. People can come down. We'll do a demo day. We can have tournaments, and kind of expand from there. So it could be a good kind of ground zero for the launching of something more. Also, or if he who was the previous CEO of FFG? Well, I don't think they had a CEO. I think what you're looking at is brand manager, or after Christian left, Alex Navarro? No, Andrew Navarro. I only met him one time. I'm sorry. Andrew Navarro was a head of studio for FFG, and that's the guy who would usually do the in-flight reports and all that. And he left also, and from what I understand, he had a pretty good working relationship with Christian Petersen. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing now, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up back at maybe Game Center also, you know, and if Christian kind of gets Alex Davey on board and kind of gets the band back together. Look, a lot of people had been let go, right? What if they're able to come back? You know, like that was all was really, really be cool stuff. That watch what Corey and Andrew do in the next year. Well, Corey's still. So here's the thing: Corey Connexa, who you know, for Rebellion and Outer Rim and a lot of other StarCraft, lots of games. Great designer, by the way. Corey has his own studio right now at Asmodee, so I don't see him leaving because I feel like they kind of got him. They're like, hey, Corey, we don't want you to leave too. What if we gave you your own studio? So he's got his own studio under Asmodee, and he just had his first game come out this past week. It's like a cooperative mystery solving kind of game, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It was in a white box, and and I've seen it. I can't. Anyway, but no, it looks like it'll be interesting. It's not the type of game I'm rushing out to get. But I'm sure it's very good. I've seen some good reviews of it already. But yeah, so anyway, but it's gonna be interesting. It's so the whole thing is like that's exciting to me to see Christian kind of getting more active in the board game community again now. And he's been active, but he's been behind the scenes. So doing stuff that's a little more visible is really a good thing. Yeah, it is. So I follow him on Twitter, and that's kind of one of the only ways that I know about this stuff. If for whatever reason Corey's stuff isn't really being widely promoted, at least it doesn't come across the feeds that I tend to see as much. I don't know. That's weird. So yeah. So anyway, so that's what's going on there. Legion has got a whole lot of stuff. We've got a whole another wave of Legion stuff going to come out. We still got the heavies, which are like the last two from this previous wave, which are the AA5 speeder truck and the Lat LE. Those are all fully spoiled. It's funny that Asmodee still kind of drops like 2 spoiler cards every couple of days. Like there's 2 cards that can go in these. I'm like, yeah, we already saw that because you can't control releases, right? And I know it's a first world problem, and I'm happy to enjoy these games. But at the same time, it's like, come on, guys. I would love. Do you remember what it was like for a developer or a game company like Fantasy Flight to actually have an in-flight brief and be like, "Hey guys, here's our newest wave," and you're like, "What? Oh, that's new." That used to be the thing like a long time. I think the last time I had something actually spoiled for me, it was Wave 7 of Armada. Well, no, Wave 8 was actually kept mostly good secret. I had somebody spoil it to me in private, but I didn't share that. But the last time I had something totally spoiled for me, it was Wave 7 for Armada with Thrawn and the Profundity. And I remember I was at work and I saw it scroll across my news feed, and I was like, ah! And I was running around the office and nobody knew why I was running around the office and stuff. So like I really miss that feeling because it hits home better when you get like a proper like website style article. And that's one of the things I really miss about Fantasy Flight doing this. I don't like the way AMG spoils stuff. Like I don't like it at all. It looks like Game Center is going to do e-commerce, like a miniature market. Maybe, yeah, that's fine with me. Like, make another place to order from. I'll put some orders in with them just to see kind of how that works. Show a little love to one of Christian's companies. It's a great idea. But yeah, they so I don't know. I miss the days of actually being spoiled. Like this is why I love Dane Beltrami. He's got a spoiling and market down to a science. Well, I guess for the only thing I know that Dane has worked on is Twilight Imperium. I don't know if he's done other stuff, but Twilight Imperium was Prophecy of Kings was still leaked early on two formats. One kind of an image kind of came out of Europe, but then also that was Prophecy of Kings was also leaked on their distributor website. That's the problem is like I wish I don't have the self control to not go look for leaks, right? But I wish they'd keep a tighter lid on it, right? Oh, he's doing stuff with the living rule, but in the codexes, yeah, and that's pretty cool. As much as I love Twilight Imperium, I don't play it enough that I'm really interested in the codexes, because like gosh, yeah, I haven't even played all the races in the first Twilight Imperium, so I haven't even played the base game fully yet. Let alone haven't had a chance to dive into the expansion yet and all of its content. So it's going to be a long time before I kind of exhaust Twilight Imperium, what it offers at face value, and then can kind of go into more. And that's the problem with anybody who has a lot of games. Like how often do you really get to play them and exhaust them and like play them fully? I mean, heck, if I want to be a real stickler, there's plenty of Armada fleets I haven't really gotten to explore yet. There's lots of upgraded and ship combinations. There's some squadrons that I haven't run, since the Rebellion in the Rim came out. We had only a few months until COVID started and a lockdown started, and I was kind of cut off from Armada. So like a lot of like the Starhawk wave and everything that came out after that, I barely got to try before lockdown hit. And I think I only had like 2 games involving a Starhawk, and I kick myself because the last Armada tournament I went to was right after Wave 8 came out, but I didn't bring a Starhawk or an Onager because I thought, oh, everybody's going to be running those. Let me try something different. Everybody had the same idea. So like we had a Wave 8 tournament and like nobody brought Wave 8 stuff. And I was kicking myself, because then it would turn out that was the last tournament before restrictions hit. So yeah, it's been so prevalent nowadays that I don't even remember what a normal launch is. Yeah, no, I hear you. It used to be a glorious day. Like maybe you had pre-orders in, and the thing is, pre-orders too still don't show up until usually after the street date. So I don't know what's going on, man. It's real funny. Yeah, Chandler is in chat. What's going on, Chandler? Yes, you were there, right? That Wave 8. Like I'm kicking myself thinking, man, that was like I really missed the cool stuff like tournaments and stuff like that we used to have, because we were getting really big turnouts too, man. We were having like 12 people show up just to play Armada on a Sunday afternoon, and you'd see a lot of different fleets, a lot of stuff. And I know you're doing some of that stuff here locally too on a kind of a smaller scale, and that's that's cool, man. I'm hoping to. I think I was going to try and do some Armada this weekend, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think either next weekend or the weekend after that is when things for me are going to like drastically calm down, and I'm going to have a lot more flexibility and stuff. And that's when I think I'm going to try and get Armada playing again a little more seriously. So yeah, but I'll be probably playing at Sci-Fi though, because that's my store. So yeah, that's gotta kind of represent like the home store. But yeah, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun to just to get stuff to the table again. I did just get a Wave 8 battle in, so that'll be coming out probably after another week or so. So for everybody else, it's up now early for patrons. But I'm really liking some of the cards, man. I'm really liking Salvo too, because I ran some Providences with a heavy Salvo focus, and that was fun. Turbo Laser reroute circuits, great. Grievous worked out pretty good too. I used Grievous. I think so let's talk about Wave 10 for Armada, and this little upgrade that can go on any faction, including Rebels and Empire, called Point Defense Ion Cannons. Are those insane or what? I don't know if you've seen them. And for what I'm doing right now out in the garage, I don't have any graphics ready to go up. So I would love to. That's a cool setup. I need to get a better setup out here, but it gets so hot. I usually just do a little mobile setup and bring it out here. So what I would do is I'd pull up Point Defense Ion Cannons and I'd have it right here, and I'd be like, let's talk about this card. But basically, when you're defending at close range or distance 1, you can just make the defender reroll a die of your choice. What fantastic squadron defense is this, right? like, oh, you got all those bombers that are coming in. Oh, you've got Bomber Command Center too. Okay, every single one of those black doubles, re-roll them. You know, boom. Like, it's so nasty. It's really, really effective, and it's only 4 points. You know, that's what you get for living a quarter mile from the sun in Florida. Yeah, Florida's hot. I don't have an environmentally controlled garage either. So, I mean, hey, I'm happy to at least have a garage. I'm not complaining, but it does get hot out here. It's a little warm today. It's actually not too bad today, but we're getting closer. We're getting really close to when it gets scorching hot. But yeah, so Armada Wave 10 has got some cool cards. Some of the stuff that's not out yet, though, the new Turbo Laser upgrade that lets you your salvo. You can use your blues at long range and your blacks at medium. The flak cannons. Wait, no, that's not a Turbo Laser upgrade. Is that Turbo Laser or is that the offensive retrofit? But that one didn't come out with the invisible hand, so I don't have access to that one yet. I'm really waiting on the Recusant because the Recusant's got some of the really cool officers that I want also. You're gonna give it a few more months before you start looking around. Well, that's certainly an option. One thing I like is that they're putting multiples. So any of you guys who watched the unboxing, or if you picked up any Wave 10 so far, you're getting multiples of the same thing in one ship pack, and that's a really good thing. Like for your point defense ion cannons, you get 2 of those in a single ship pack. That's really good. It's a step. It's not that great because, like, okay, well, there's still the Rebel and Imperial players still will have to go out and buy one, so they're still kind of going against what they wanted to do right away. I'm sure that those will also show up in whatever the next Rebel and Imperial expansions happen to be. But yeah, but I like the fact that they're giving you multiple upgrades, and they've been doing stuff like that for a while. But like with the upgrade card collection, it's like, oh, you're still kind of forcing people to buy across the aisle right now. I don't think that's going to be the case always. Kind of Legion does the same thing. Legion will put an upgrade out there, and then it's like, and then later it finally shows up for the other faction. So it's not like a permanent thing. It's just they can only have one thing at a time. I really like the idea of getting cards like Hot Landing in Separatist packs, even though they can't really use it. Yeah, no, I think that was a good call. If it's going to be a dual faction card, like they made it dual faction for a reason. That's so I'm going to be talking about that in another video. Of like the things that, like the seeds that they've planted. I don't believe there is another wave of Armada in the works right now. Mostly either that or people are just being really tight-lipped about it because. I'm going to be honest with you, like, because I'm a pretty big source, people always spoil stuff to me. It's inevitable. I always hear whispers and like, and sometimes they're vague. Sometimes they're not even like, hey, this ship is coming. But usually people are like, hey man, don't worry, it's in the works or whatever. And I get that from lots and lots of sources, or even if it's like third parties, like, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy who they said they started playtesting the last wave or whatever. I haven't heard anything like that. And then you combine that, which I wouldn't say that counts as evidence or anything like that. That doesn't mean anything. It could mean they have new playtesters or whatever. I don't know. But the fact that at their last convention, they had literally nothing to say about the future of Armada beyond stuff that FFG had already announced versus every other game they did. Has me a little bit like, you guys need to get to work on it. I know it's a slow process, but you need to get to work on that. We got a super chat from Bleed Green Productions. What's going on, Bleed Green Productions? Thank you for showing some support for the channel. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Sorry, it's late. Well, I don't have a schedule yet on when I'm doing my live streams, so that's I don't think, Matthew says, I don't think AMG has any developers for Armada, X-Wing, and Legion. Well, you might not think that, but they do. They do have Legion. Luke Eddy is the lead designer for Legion. He also was the Legion guy for FFG. So he made the transition over. He's the only one who is specifically a developer that went over. There are, or rather, but there's other people that worked on these expansions. I think Gavin Duffy made it over there. Derek Fuchs, I think, is over there. Like a lot of people who had like different positions, but that were still in the pipe of like X-Wing, Legion, Armada, and stuff like that. Like art people, sculpting people, a lot of stuff like that. Like producers, which is a little different because they're kind of like in a management position. So it's like, hey, you're the manager of the McDonald's. Do you know how to make fries? And like, maybe they should, but they haven't made fries in a long time. They're like, yeah, let's train somebody else to make fries. You know, like that's, I'm using a McDonald's analogy, and I recognize that it's very crude, but that's kind of the way I kind of feel about it. I'm like, are the fries gonna taste the same? Are they still gonna be salted? You know, I don't know. Like, wait, and then when we get fries, I'm like, wait, why are the fries orange? What'd you guys do? Well, we tried a new narrative fry system that's got extra cheese, and I'm like, okay, that's great, but if I wanted cheesy fries, I'd have went to a different place that has cheesy fries. Why'd you put cheesy fries on my Star Destroyer? I mean, I feel like I'm kind of off topic now. Like, what the hell am I even talking about? I don't know. Let me know if you follow. That's kind of my worry with the way things are for X-Wing and Armada. Like the people who are going to be working on it, and I think like Luke Eddy is the head of all of Star Wars right now for AMG, which is cool. Like he's worked on Legion. And I know in the past they've kind of shared ideas and some concepts have kind of bled over, right? One great example is Armada has all these traits now on ships, right? They're keywords that are used only for list building. That's cool. Like droid and clone and bombard and comms and things like that. Well, Legion also started doing that. So, it's one of those cursed images that makes me chuckle. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be an alternate. That might be the next alternate art Star Destroyer, is one that has cheesy fries like dripping all over onto the base, and it gets on the shields dial, and you're like, it's ruined now. But yeah, so I can see certain common concepts linking across from game to game. Here's one that I'd like to see, and I want to see what you guys think. X-Wing has some cool stuff coming out. That came out rather in, I just haven't been able to do it yet, but for Epic Play. And that is their bounty hunter and scum and smuggler kind of stuff that's in the Scum Aces pack, right? You've got the whole, hey, I can be like a hired gun, or I'm in it for the money, you know, I'm not, or whatever, right? You can basically, you can put somebody who's like a scum and villainy character into a rebel list or into an imperial list, in that they're kind of taking that bounty. That's not legal for tournament play, but it's good for Epic or just casual play, right? That's a cool idea. I would love to explore that some more in other games. And what I mean by that is I'd love to see Armada have the option to like take, you know, Boba Fett and have him like work for the Rebels for a moment or something like that. And I guess you can always do that. They could do that in Armada with a new campaign expansion. When I look at the campaign expansions, I have a harder time like locking into a commitment of, hey, we're going to play these like 12 games to like work this whole campaign out. I have a harder time doing that just because you get so many people involved and everybody's schedule has to align perfectly every time, and it just becomes more and more frustrating when you make plans to go for campaign night and you're going to be out for 4 hours and then somebody cancels and you have to throw the whole thing off, and then, you know, and now you have to try and make up for it next week, but I already had plans for something else next week. You know, it drives me crazy. You know, I'm very schedule oriented for things like that, and I kind of want to know what's happening when, and you know, so campaigns don't always work out too well for me. So I liked the idea of that most of the campaigns that have come out so far, also in addition to the campaign stuff, they also have here's also some stuff that works in all of your games, and including tournament legal games and stuff like that. I like that. So you know, so that's what's in it for me, is like the new objective cards and some of the new crew and titles and upgrades and squadron cards and all that cool stuff we get in all of those Armada expansions, which are awesome. So I kind of wouldn't mind seeing stuff like that. I just would hope that, you know, that type of mechanic isn't reserved only for a campaign. I think it'd be a fun thing to do. We were actually looking at doing some, I mean, I've done some homebrew stuff before from time to time, because I know some people do like, you know, variants, and Armada is one of those games I've played enough that I don't mind having the variant. But I like for it to be a widely known or widely used variant, because I wouldn't want to be like, hey, this will be really fun, let me bring it to the game store on Sunday, and then nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about, and nobody wants to try it, you know. So that's the problem with a lot of homebrew stuff. Hey, I brought my own army of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with blaster rifles. They're really cool. I made them at home. Nobody's like, well, that's not balanced. I don't want to play that, you know. So that's like, you know, that's kind of my take on a lot of that type of stuff. which it can be interesting, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, so I guess that's about it. Armada's spread out for a little bit. X-Wing has nothing coming out anytime soon, but we'll probably get some previews from the new epic ship, the Separatist Squid, the Trident assault carrier, in the next couple of months. Gen Con is coming up. I've kind of come to the decision I'm not going to do Gen Con. I'll cover it digitally like I've covered other digital stuff, but I'm not going to fly out for that. And what stinks is I've got some money from airline tickets that I was supposed to get refunded, but they just kind of converted it over into airline cash, and now it's going to expire probably before I can use it, and so I'm going to be out a couple $100. But oh well, there's nothing I can do about that now. It's just kind of one of the things that happens. A lot of people have been hurt by COVID worse than that, so I'm not going to complain about losing like an airline ticket. I look at it this way: like, my kids are healthy. Nobody in my house got COVID. We stayed safe, and we stayed, so I'm really grateful for that. Let's see what else. I want to talk about some channel stuff. So you guys have noticed I've slowed down a little bit. I'm only doing like a video every 2 or 3 days for the most part. And some of them have been a little bit more, like I've had some board game reviews. I did like one for A Gentle Rain, and so I've just been doing some a little bit more relaxed stuff. Street Fighter review is coming. That one, I filmed that one. Marvel United is back on Kickstarter. This is bonkers right here. It's bonkers. And not in a bad way. It's just bonkers in a, like, this is, look how much this is. Like, I'm gonna turn the camera a little bit. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 boxes. Plus, there's a playmat. Plus, there's I didn't get they have cardboard tiles for it that can upgrade the regular card stock tiles. I didn't get those, and as soon as I opened the core game, I'm like, I regret that, because their tiles are super thin and flimsy, right? Like, you're supposed to lay these out and they kind of become the game board, and they're like this, right? But I don't know if you can really see, but you see how that's curved? It's kind of curved like the surface of the earth. Well, that becomes really problematic when they're all like that, and you try to sit them down and like boom, 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 and you got the balance tokens on there, and they're sliding off because there's a slight curvature to it. It's a really annoying thing, and that's the base game. Now, I don't know if everybody's copy is like that, and I won't even say that that's because of the humidity in Florida, because they were like that straight out of the box. Like, I got this first day I played it, and they were curved. So, or maybe second day, I don't know if I probably got it at night, probably didn't play it until the very next day. But that's kind of a pain in the butt. So for the second Kickstarter, if you didn't back Marvel United, they have all the stuff from the first Kickstarter. What annoys me is they have a whole nother playmat too now. Yeah. Your Armada tournament bat reps are your favorite. You like the condensed format of just showing the state of the game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't usually like to record during tournaments as much. I usually kind of do a before and after, or maybe like one during the middle, because I don't want to distract from my opponent and and kind of slow the game down, because sometimes games have come down to time, and then somebody could say like, well, he was slowing down because he had to film his thing. So I'm like, I don't want to put somebody else out like that, so I like to keep it very kind of laid back. But lately I've been just taking photos and putting them on Instagram too. Instagram's fun for that. But yeah. Legion is good if you enjoy the hobby aspect of tabletop gaming. Oh yes, Legion is very, very good for that. Most miniature bat reps are an hour of watching people roll dice. The dice rolls are sometimes clutch, though. They really are, especially when there's mechanics. I think that the dice rolling is really interesting in Armada. So I'll give you guys a little sample of some of the stuff that I had going on in some of my battle reports, like in this most recent one. Like, I was running the Intensify Firepower upgrade, so lets everybody turn a die to a side with a hit. And I would run LTT, Link's Turbo Laser Towers. And so it's interesting, like when I'm attacking and I roll a single red hit, and I'm like, well, let me re-roll it. Because even if it comes up blank, I can always then turn it back to a hit. So like remembering like these strategic things, like it's always worth re-rolling that one, even if it could be worse, because you have that insurance policy of being able to re-upgrade it to a hit, at least for one die, right? And so like I think that kind of stuff is super cool. But and especially if you're flacking with a munificent, with you get the red dice, and you're like, well, of course, but you don't get the insurance policy with flak because it's only, intensified firepower only works on when you're attacking a ship, but you still get the reroll on all of those. So it's fun stuff. So I think sometimes I don't always focus on the dice in my battle reports, but I do like to kind of include the context around this dice roll. I'm like, all right, he needs this on this roll, and if blah blah blah, but if he gets more than this, then I'm gonna have to exhaust this upgrade, and then kind of framing the situation a little bit. Oh, we got a super chat from Scott. Thank you, Scott, man, I appreciate it. He says, I enjoy your channel and the work you put into it. Cheers. Well, thank you, Scott. I really enjoy what I do too. It's kind of one of the reasons I slowed down a little bit, because there hasn't been as much news and everything, but I'm trying to enjoy it more. I'm trying to enjoy gaming a little bit more and taking more time. I'm trying to get a little painting done, which has been fun, and just kind of having a little more fun with things. I mean, I'm going to be doing one of the, so here's a thing, right? I haven't started yet, but since I've got a second Providence now, I'm going to probably be repainting one of these. And I do think I'm going to take a close look at Trench's thing, but even though this is a big ship, man, to try and paint those eyeballs on there and make them look just like Trench's, I think the way to go is probably decals if you can, but I don't think I want to use decals. I'd rather freehand it, which scares me a little bit, because so here's my thinking, is maybe I just do something like that. Like I'll do some tape and then cover it up, tape over it, and then peel it off, and then get my straight lines and stuff that way, because that's easier to do. But I think I'll do something inspired by Trench's ship, but not exactly the same thing, because didn't that ship get blown up anyway? So maybe I'll do the 2.0. Maybe he gets a new version of it when he comes back with his robot body. So maybe I'll make it like Robo Trench's ship, because when you saw Trench in Clone Wars Season 7, I don't think you saw his ship, right? So let's just say it's the Invincible 2.0. It's funny that his ship was called the Invincible too, right? Be interesting. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on. Oh, I'm bringing back Double Critical, right? I used to have the Double Critical podcast, and that's going to change. It's going to be a YouTube show, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it cover all of the games. I don't have an exact schedule yet, but basically, I'm going to be bringing this back where I kind of hypothesize with some more of the wild and crazy ideas. And so you guys who have that play Legion and have followed Double Critical will know that it's kind of, I would say hey, how could we do an AT-AT in Legion and actually make it work? So we start with a crazy idea, and we're like, okay, but let's just say you were tasked with making this happen. How could you do it in a way that people would be like, oh, well, I guess that actually works, And so that's kind of the context of it. Like, we talk about our wild and crazy ideas, things we want to see, and then kind of, but then bring an approach that makes it make a little bit more rational sense. And so that's the context of Double Critical. And I always thought while we were doing it, because it was kind of started up as a Legion podcast, I wanted to do that and just talk about all of the games. So what I'm looking at doing is doing it maybe weekly and having a different game each week. So maybe the first weekend or the first Sunday or Monday or something like that of the month, we would have one that is Legion focused, and then maybe the second Sunday would be X-Wing, and the third Sunday would be Armada, and maybe then we'd just take a break, and then maybe occasionally we could do another one, but basically like 3 times a month, and that would be kind of the schedule. It'd be like this, the Xth Sunday of the month. That was kind of the thought, and then each one would focus on a different game. And this way I'd be able to talk about all the wild and crazy stuff a little bit more, because I got wild and crazy ideas for Armada, and I got wild and crazy ideas for X-Wing, and so I think that would be a fun way to do something like that. If you needed a 4th round to make a month, why not include an indie category? Because I also kind of want to take a break, and then just reserve that fourth one for maybe something else. I might have something else to do. Like I might just talk generic Star Wars. Like maybe we'll just talk about the movies. You know, like what if, you know, what changes what I make to the sequel trilogy or whatever. Like I kind of reserve that for, like, it's still kind of up in the air. I'm not going to be starting it this month. I'm thinking of, you know, mid-May is going to be when things calm down for me. So that's when I'm looking at making some of these changes, but I'm still kind of in the planning process. I got a new Double Critical shirt design that's in the Teespring store down there. So if you guys haven't seen any of the any of that stuff, you can check those out. I went with the red dice for the Double Crit, and I'm going to call it Double Crit instead of Double Critical because one of the reasons Double Critical got taken down, I say taken down, is because somebody threatened legal action. Because they have some company named Double Critical, and I'm like, oh gosh, really? Like that's such a generic term, you know. Like critical isn't, you know. I thought it was nonsense, but so we're gonna call it Double Crit, or I could go Triple Critical, right? But no, so I got Double Critical dice. I went with red dice because all the games use red dice. All the games have criticals, so I thought that was kind of cool. They could have more universal appeal, kind of symbolizes kind of everything. So there we go. All right, so that's some stuff that is going on. I think that's about it for right now. That's kind of all the stuff that I have going on. So check out check out Dungeons and Lasers too, man. Like Dungeons and Lasers Kickstarter. You know, I've got some more of these awesome little modular terrain pieces. I got a video, a Kickstarter video from this. A preview that's going to be coming out in a couple of days, so stay tuned for that. There's some other little goodies in there, but that one is, you know, that one will be a fun one. Archon has some really cool stuff going on. So they have a Masters of the Universe Kickstarter coming up soon. I'm hoping to be able to do a preview of that, even though I think that one's going to be Europe only. I'm hoping that because I'm in the United States, maybe if it's a preview copy and not a sale, that I can still get my hands on it, take a look at it, run through some gameplay, you know, and because there's still ways, there's still ways to get it. You know, there's proxy services. There's a shipping address in Europe, and then they'll ship it to you. You pay a few extra bucks for that or something like that. It's just more complicated. All right, well, I think that's about it, guys. I'm gonna let you guys go. I want to thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with me on a Saturday afternoon. I will talk to you soon. Be good to each other. Get your vaccines. Game safe. Stay safe. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.